Right, welcome back everybody. It's Jackie and today I'm going to do a journal share with you. This is a swap journal that I've made for a very special lady. This video might be a bit longer than normal and I am going to talk for a minute at the beginning, so maybe speed ahead if that's not what you're interested in. A lot of you will probably know that I've been making journals and mini albums, things like that, for a long time, for at least 10 years. And I did join Journal Junkies a long time ago as well, not long after Yvonne set it up. Thank you, Yvonne, for setting it up. It's a great group. And then work took over and I didn't really craft a lot for quite a long time. When I came back to junk journaling properly a couple of years ago, Mrs Cog, Elizabeth, was one of the first journal makers that really caught my attention. Her and Nick, I already knew about Yvonne and Ali and quite a few others actually, but I hadn't come across Liz before and I fell in love with her journals immediately. And I've loved them ever since, as of course many of you do. Anyway, I've been lucky enough to do a few design projects for Mrs Cog and we are currently doing a swap, and this is my journal for her. Liz wanted rust, yellow and rust colours. She loves autumn. A bit outside my comfort zone. This is the closest I could get really to rust, so I've concentrated on the autumn side of things and hope she likes this, and I'll take you through it, not too slowly, but I'll try not to make it too long. But anyway, thank you Liz for agreeing to swap with me. I'm very thrilled about that, as everybody can imagine. And here we go. So it's hardback journal. It's made with chipboard, fabric over chipboard, and it's 6 by 8 1/4. The spine I think is 2 1/4, or yeah, just over 2 1/4. I've done a straightforward tassel on the back, and it's just a few of the ribbons and such like I've used. I'm just going to put my other light on. Unfortunately, it's late afternoon in the UK and it gets dark really early, so we'll see how this turns out. So this little tassel has got the ribbons on it. I've got a boho bead in some greens and a couple of beaded strings in amongst the ribbons, and they're all glass beads. I've used flower fairies quite a lot in this book, and eventually chose this one for the front. It's not actually an autumn flower, but the colours just looked right to me. And I've also relied on Edith Holden quite a lot in this book, just because she's got a lot of autumn pages. So on the side we've got some, I think Liz would now call them drippings, although her drippings are mostly lace. We've got some charms and some little beaded safety pins that I've put on there and some lace. So, and you can see that it's quite full. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 signatures, 192 sides. Okay, so a hidden spine, flower fairy here with a little card in. This is some thick cardstock on the inside here. So what I've tried to do with the inclusions in this journal, I have included quite a few bits and bobs. I've tried to choose things that I think Liz would be interested in. And if you do follow her, you'll know that she does a lot of preserving her fruit and veg from the mountain top there where she lives. So I picked these few pages from a 1902 cookery book. I'm sure she doesn't need them, but I thought she might be interested in some of the older fashioned recipes. Baked damsons for winter use. We've got some plum jam. I was quite interested and surprised to see a Bengal recipe for making mango chutney. Thought that was interesting. Actually uses dried chilies. And on the back there's a sauce called Leamington sauce, which also fascinated me when I came across it, because Leamington is the nearest town to me and is just 7 miles up the road and where we go for our main shopping. I've tried to choose a lot of original ephemera as well. So this is from an old account book. I think it's 1889, and just, yeah, 1889, and really beautiful writing. And then I've, in each signature, I've included a sort of clip-in piece of ephemera that I've made, which obviously Liz can take out if she wants to. This one has got poems on the card there and on the back, and although I've cut it down, you can just about read those. So that's the first thing I've put in. These flower fairy images are from one of the original older books, so a 1930s book, and these are autumn fairies. Liz also likes to write in her journals, so I have left a whole lot of writing space as well, some stenciling. Each of the signatures has got an Edith Holded page in the centre as well. This one was a bit of a mistake. There's a couple of little mistakes in this book. This page was meant to be the other way around with the picture on this side, but hey ho, it happens. I don't think it really matters. We've got some snippet tabs with the coilless safety pins, which were gifted to me by Carol from Oak House Journals, and I've just made the little bead charms to go on there. This pocket is made from an old invoice. It's from a jeweller's, and it says 2 stone diamond 18 platinum crossover ring. It's from 1950-ish, and the cost was £48, and I've just popped that into this onto this tag. So that's sharing that. It's the other side of that 1889 ledger. I've got 4 of these journal cards, and I've managed to find a sunflower, which I think is Liz's favourite flower. This was my second slight mistake. This page was originally sewn into the journal, and then when I came to flick through it the first time, it was in crooked. I don't know how that happened. It's never happened to me before, really, and I couldn't stand it, so I cut it out and I've reattached it as a tip-in. I've got a little bit of leaf stamping and dye on some of these tea stain pages. This is a vellum page with toadstools. This is the clip-in for the second signature, and this is just a little booklet, and I've put together some tea stain paper, a bit more poetry, things in there. And on the back we've got an old envelope from 1945. This is addressed to the Ministry of Labour and National Service, St James's Place, London. It's 1945. These pages are about gardens. These are from old magazines, I guess. It's an old book, 1890s. So we've got the Housewife's Garden from this one, and the Notebook of My London Garden, and that one is September, so autumn. They just slot in there, hopefully. Just a little snippet there. I've put I think four of those snippets through. This is from an old notebook. The Meanings of Flowers. This is just a very simple tag, Edith Holden tag. The little bead charm. I've got a couple of these skinny tabs. You'll probably remember, if you watch me, the journal that I had from Carol, she'd done this with some little perfumed sticks, or something similar to this with some little perfumed sticks. I haven't got any perfumed sticks, but I liked the little narrow tag, and I've seen a number of people do that, so I've taken that from, in my case, from Carol. This is one of my collage side tucks. This is the swallow, which is an autumn. The swallow visits us in summer here and leaves in the autumn. This is a page from that old Flower Fairy book. That one, I think I did mean it to be that way round, but anyway. I've put a few of these quotes in. I think the first one, did I miss that? There we are. I chose this especially for Liz. My wish is to stay always like this, living quietly in a corner of nature. This one says, autumn is a second spring where every leaf is a flower. Another long tag in there. This is a little, this is just a fold out extra journaling space, and you could glue the back of that and stick it onto a page to open out. I was going to do that originally, but I decided in the end to leave it as a clip in there, so Liz can use that or not. This I've put in for Cog, Mr. Elizabeth. I thought he might be interested to see what the man's part in housekeeping should be. It's quite funny, actually. It's quite hilarious. In the light of the preceding discussion, it seems clear that he should first of all help his wife in planning her work. So we'll see. That's just a bit of fun, really, and very much of its time. But Cog might be interested in that. Another of those snippets. I like the way it tones with the mushroom page there. I've included another booklet. Just a few pages stitched into that. I tried not to make it too fat. A bead. Sorry, it seems to be taking ages now. This is from a 1966 letter from tax office. I've hidden the letter. Nobody wants to read a letter from the tax office. Red Hot Poker. This is a vellum page that I've used as a pocket, and there's a tag in there and 2 pages from that one of these old books called The Woman Who Makes a Garden, How She Can Remake Herself and Others by an Old-Fashioned Person. So Liz might enjoy that. I quite enjoyed reading that. This is also another Flower Fairy. This is my actual favourite Flower Fairy of all, the Slow Fairy, and this is from a smaller but again a 1930s edition of that book. Time spent amongst trees is never wasted time. This is another little skinny tag. This one has got, this is a modern postcard, Flower Fairy postcard, and I've popped him in there because he very, very nearly made it onto the front of this journal. It took me ages to decide which one to use. I'm still not sure I've got it right, but anyway. And this is this was gifted to me. I think, was this Carol or Kathleen? Anyway, it's a sunflower, so I thought I'd pass that on to Liz for her sunflower collection. I'm sure she's got a sunflower collection. This is another 1940s cookery book, and this is Cookery Principles, a little bit about preserves, and it tells Liz how to deal with things when her pickles turn mouldy. I'm sure Liz's pickles never ever turn mouldy, but you never know. This is an envelope. This is made in the Tracy Fox style. This is a really nice picture from an old-ish book. So we've got the blackberries and the spider's web, and then church on the other side. Another side tuck and tag. This is the barn owl. This is a page that I have actually stitched into the journal, and this is called a Halloween party. And again, I found that quite interesting because it's a UK encyclopedia type thing, and obviously people have been celebrating Halloween for a long time. This, I went back to my old edition. This is a tag that was again inspired a little bit by Carol from Oak House Journals, and there's a little tiny book in here. It's all sealed up, but if Liz wants to open that, there's a little secret message in there for her. The mountains are calling and I must go. The other side of that little glassine bag. This is the top of that invoice for the ring. Just made it into another pocket. And on the back, I've done one of these fold outs that I learned from Carol. So we've got some vellum here. This is a little journal card. And then that opens out twice, as does this. So we've got some writing space here. There's one of these tags in there, and a little made one in there. So that all fits in the back and ties up with that, which I'll do in a minute. And the book just about stays flat. I'm also popping in for Liz because her other suggestion was burgundy, and I don't really do burgundy. The closest I'd got was this red ribbon. So I've made her, because she uses a TN, she uses a traveller's notebook, I've made her a little traveller's notebook, a little blank traveller's notebook here. Let's just pop through it. So just a mixture of pages. This is from the Sarah Midden book, which I first saw. Liz told us about that one. I've learned so much from her, honestly. And I've got a couple of her courses, which are brilliant. So that's the booklet. See the other side of that lovely picture there. I thought she'd like that. Pocket on the back page. And that comes with a few extras. I have put some curled paper clips in, which Liz obviously can do herself. And this is a broken heart, but what this actually is a vintage, a 1940s dance card, really. And these are given out to men and women, or were, and you obviously had to find the person who had your matching broken heart. So that's why that one's there. That's just similar things to. So that's my gift for Liz. I hope she enjoys it, and I'm sorry if this is really long and is really boring for everybody, but it's a record for me as well. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you soon.